Gulzar bhai, today's topic is concubines and sex slavery in Islam. So I know your plate is full. You have a lot to say about these topics.
Yes,
So
yes.
would you like to elaborate on this?
I would make my call with you into three different sections. Number one, my few thoughts I would present to you, and second, I would present the argument which is given by Ghamdi. So before I call you, I listened the clip of Ghamdi, and also I will present that highly qualified scholar of Islam interpretation about sex slavery, second portion, and third portion I sent you few hadith, and that will be also
Send
shown to
me
the
on
public.
WhatsApp.
Yes. So
Okay,
let's
I'm going
start
to download
step by
all.
step. I mean, you don't have to show right now. First, I will present my few thoughts, and then I will present Ghamdi narrative about slavery. Number one, my thoughts are that when we discuss sex slavery, and it is now very much, what we call talk of the town, actually. It is talk of the town. Everybody talks about it, especially ex-Muslim. And so, what moral authority does Islamic apologists have when when they say there is so much vulgarity in Europe, when they say that there is a bad relationship or there is a boyfriend girlfriend, when they say
Mhm.
that girls are being abused, which is not 100% true. I mean, some to some extent, of course, it could be, but what kind of moral authority does they have when sex slavery is allowed in Islam? So my number one point is about moral authority. Second
Mhm.
point, that uh, the scholars of modern time or medieval scholars or ancient scholars, I won't say ancient, but initial time of
Industrial
Islamic
age.
period,
Okay, okay.
when
Yeah.
Islam started, they
Uh-huh.
cannot escape sex slavery. The reason being that too much has been written about sex slavery within Islamic scriptures. For example, you make a lot of videos, hours and hours. If you say something which is not appropriate, you might delete it, right? You can delete that video. But if you have said something in every video, it will be hard for you. Similarly, Islamic literature, including Quran, which cannot be changed, Hadith, which has almost 20 different books of Hadith. uh, Six are very famous. Sahih Bukhari is famous, Sunan Ibn Majah famous, and Sahih Muslim, and so what. So my second point, that this sex slavery has been shown in large scale, and too many papers have been, I would say, written down about it, so they can't escape it. Otherwise, they would easily escape. Actually, they would easily escape. My third point, that I am middle age, but I was in a school. I was raised as a teenager. I grew, I went to college, I went to university. I never heard about sex slavery in my life except these last 2 years. So that is very interesting. Now, my third argument is it's about the matter of ignorance. I mean, that's why we can't blame Muslims that they do accept sex slavery. Why? Because even most of Muslims are not aware. Why? Because most of Muslims are aware that Muhammad was such a nice man. Some old woman was throwing trash on him, and then he visited her. That so, what happened? The dangerous thing of Islamic story is that there are few stories of Islam which have been marketed very well, but the
Mhm.
stories which have been written and hidden also very well. But since social media and you came up, Haris came up, and other YouTubers came up, and they brought those hidden stories. This is my third point. Now, coming back to Ghamdi, so far you want to say something about my thoughts
No,
process?
no.
Then I'm gonna.
Going on,
Okay.
going on, go on, please.
Now,
Gulzar bhai, go on.
I did make a note what Ghamdi was saying, and I think that was my first time that I watched his video very carefully, so I can present to your channel. Now, it is 5 minutes video about sex slavery, and he is asked by one of the host, Mr. Ghamdi, does Islam have sex slavery? Now, the first statement is Ghamdi says, which is lie. He says, no, there is no sex slavery in Islam. And then second point he made that sex slavery was in tradition before Islam came, just like interest-based economy was before Islam. So and then he says that a lot of new things are coming up in this century. So things keep changing, and you know that he's a scholar, so he know how to twist his words, how to manipulate audience. So he said, and then he made very interesting point. He said that since there was sex slavery before Islam, so Islam is not responsible for that. And then he make a reference. He says before the battle of Badr, Surah Muhammad came up, and it said that a sex slave should not be made. I don't know if there is any verse which clearly abolishes sex slavery. So Ghamdi
No,
was
there's
either,
none. There's no.
yes,
He
so
was
he was
mistranslating.
yes, he was either
Mistranslating.
misinterpreting, exactly.
Mistranslating.
And yes, and then he said another interesting point, and trust me, those points he was making, uh, every point is illogical. Why? I tell you why. Then he said that because different, kabile or different tribes used to attack on each other. So what is the punishment of those attacks? The punishment is that keeping men and women as sex slaves. So basically, he's justifying that there was no other way as a punishment. So Islam was doing punishment. And then he another made a point that then he said that there is another Surah Nur, and he said in Surah Nur, Allah made different rules about either discouraging sex slavery or just abolishing. And then another thing he quoted from Quran. I know you know that he's Quranist. Most of the time he did not quote hadith. So he said in Quran it is said that if sex slave uh, shows, proves that they can live independently, they have to pay some money to their master. That is so ridiculous point, like he's raising from the Quran. He said that if sex slaves are eligible to live their own life, they can make money. So does it mean that if sex slave does not have money, then he cannot be free? And last point he made that since sex slave women, if they are made free next day, they will die of hunger. They have no job. That's why in order to keep them alive, sex slavery was being practiced over there. So these points are so ridiculous. My last point, then I will move to the third topic of hadith. Then I will take your view also about it. My last point about this: when Ghamdi make justifications, just like Dr. Shabir Ali make justification, Dr. Asran make everybody make justification, but it is not like a normal human being who is making rules about abolishing of sex slavery. It is creator of the universe. I mean, creator of universe does not need to make rules in order to discourage slavery. Creator of universe just can finish the slavery in one moment, which is not being done. I hope that people will understand his bongies or stupid claims of Ghamdi. But if you have any thoughts about, then I will move to the third topic. Anyone want to raise something?
God could have abolished slavery much earlier. He could have brought the industrial revolution 3,000 years ago, and slavery would not be there. Industrial revolution is the biggest answer to slavery, and is the biggest reason why slavery is not anymore practiced in the world, because now machines can do what humans did using their own blood and sweat and tears. So this is how it was. If God wanted to end it, he could have just uh, told people how to make electricity and make combustion engines, and slavery would just be gone. No one would need slaves. Yeah. So Guldar bhai, yeah, what's
Yeah,
next?
I think Sultan or Amit
Sultan
want to
is
raise
also there,
something.
Amit is also there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and then
So
we
guys,
will
I
show
am going
some
to
hadith.
give you the link as well. You guys can come to the studio and join us. There is ample space in the studio. So I'm giving you the link once more. And hopefully, if you guys want to come and talk about concubines and sex slavery in Islam, you are more than welcome to come and join us. Yeah.
And sir, the third, I will show you some hadith about sex slavery, which is the proof which contradicts Ghamdi claims. But I think Sultan or Amit wanna raise so far, so we can move next topic.
Hello, how are you, Ghalib bhai, Gulzar bhai?
Good,
You're
good,
doing
good.
well.
How are you?
I just wanted to ask if you're going to stick on the topic or we can discuss on something else.
Yeah, we can discuss
Like,
other things as well, but yeah, if you want to.
okay.
Yeah. So, yeah.
Okay, so
I'll
you
just
can
make a
carry
quick
on
comment
and
on this, and
then
then we can
we will talk on something
move
else.
on,
Yeah,
Amit.
let Sultan and Gulzar conclude, and then Amit, you can move on. We can move on to your
Okay,
topic.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay, Ghalib bhai.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Um,
Sultan, yeah.
the whole thing about the slavery and Islam being the religion of peace and the answer to the problems of mankind and humanity and the torch bearer of all the things great. One of the biggest flaw that I see with Islam or any other religion is if it tells you how to treat your slave, right? Because that means it's endorsing slavery.
It is endorsing slavery.
So whatever good Islam has preached is, it's nothing if it's still telling you how you can manipulate, how you can you know mm, treat a person badly and take their freedom away and to make them your slave. I mean, the things about slavery that I've read in pre-Islamic Arabia, if it continued within Islam also, and it changed nothing in the lives of the people who were slaves, then what good has Islam done to in the lives of those people? And you hear about concubines, you hear about slave men also. Imagine whether they are war criminals, whether, I said that earlier on also, they said, okay, what else they could have done if someone has done if someone is a thief, just chop off their hands, because there were no jails then. If someone is a war criminal, then take their family as captives, because they willingly sent their men there and the women were there. So it means they are part of the war and it's justifiable to take them as slaves. I have a big problem with that, because it shows that Islam could not think ahead of its time. It was
Yeah,
stuck
not
in
at all.
that time. They could have made jails. They could have come. They were getting a lot of war bounty as well. So a step ahead in time, I would have considered. I would have some respect for Islam if they had come up with jail system where they would have rehabilitated people who were criminals, people who were involved in war, gave them a chance, gave them some, the women, their women, to integrate in the society rather than taking them captives. Because they women, if Zainab was treated badly by Yazid and they cry about it,
Yeah.
how she was paraded on the streets, how Sakina was paraded on the streets without their head covered, and the Shias more so, the how they whine and cry for 2.5 months about it. Then they should have also cried about the other women who were taken captives by
Yeah.
their
Banu
forefathers.
Qurayza and Banu al-Mustalik and the
Banu Qurayza,
yeah,
and many other
Khabar
tribes.
as well, Tabuk as
Yes.
well. Yeah.
So
Mm.
that is one of the greatest flaw that I see with Islam. Not only the maltreatment of women, but also the slavery and how it endorses it. And I think that remains to be one of the biggest flaw.
Right. And now, can you show the hadith, few hadiths
Yeah,
then,
yeah, Gulzar bhai, I'm showing those now.
please? Yeah. About sex slavery.
So these are the ones that you sent me. This is the first one.
Yeah, I will read. I have open
Sunan
also.
Abi Daud 2172. Yeah. So, yeah.
Okay. So this hadith number, what is the hadith number coming up in?
72. Sunan Abi
Okay.
Dawud 2172.
2172. Yeah, that is the
Mhm.
hadith that when I read in Islamic channels, and that hadith says that it is a Sahih hadith. I entered the mosque. Okay, Muharis said I entered the mosque and then saw Abu Sa'd al-Khudri. I sat with him and asked about withdrawing the, whatever, I don't want to say this word. And then Abu said, we went out with Apostle of Allah, I mean Hazrat Muhammad, on the expedition to Banu al-Mustalik
Anul Mustalik. Yeah.
and took some Arab women captive. And we desired the women, for we were suffering from the absence of our wives. So, and we
Mhm.
wanted ransom. So we intended to withdraw while having intercourse with slave women. But we asked ourselves, can we withdraw? When the Apostle of Muhammad said, is among us, before asking him about it. So we asked him about, does it matter if you do not do it? For then he said, for every soul that is to be born up, the day of resurrection will be born. So one hadith, and if you move to the second hadith.
Yes,
Okay.
this is the one.
What is the
1440. Tirmizi.
Yeah.
1440.
So 1440, that is another. Abu Huraira said, the Messenger of Allah said, if one of your slave girl commits illegal sexual intercourse, then whip her 3 times according to the book of Allah. And if she does it again, then sell her, even it is for a rope made of hair. I
Yeah.
mean, this is
I
Javed
also
Ahmed.
showed this one. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. You already showed. And
Yeah,
yes.
I showed both of these.
So that
Yeah, yeah.
shows that it is permissible, right? And another hadith, which if you could show, please.
The third one is Umar Khattab. It's also about coitus interruptus. Yeah.
Yes, and hadith number 3197. So
3197.
Umar,
Yes.
Umar bin Khattab said, God messenger forbade withdrawing from the free women unless she give permission. So this is the sharp difference between the rights of free women and slave women. So this hadith says that free women permission is required to make
To
her
do
pregnant
coitus
or
interruptus,
whatever.
but for the slave girl, it is not required.
Yes, yes. And can we move, I think 2 or more left, please? So this is the proof. Okay, I think this is the
4017. Sunan Abi
yeah,
Dawud.
okay, let me see. 4017. Okay, yeah, that is also very, I mean, I put in my Twitter. What I did today, I combined all sex slavery hadith and saved in my Twitter account so people can easily share. It's a safe platform also. So this hadith, Sunan Abne Dawood 4017, and it says, I said, Messenger of Allah, from whom we should conceal our private parts, to whom we can show. Muhammad replied, conceal your private parts except from your wife and from whom your right hand possession, slave girls. And they made slave girl in the bracket just to make clarification. And then I asked Muhammad, what should we do if people are assembled together? He replied, it is within your power that no one should look at you. I asked Messenger of Allah, if one of us is alone, what should we do? He replied, Allah is more entitled than people, that bashfulness should be shown to him. So basically, this hadith clearly shows that private parts can be shown to sex slave woman and wife. And this hadith is parallel and comparable and endorses Quranic verse chapter 23, verse number 5 and 6. Those verses are similar, giving similar meaning to this hadith. So we can't say that hadith and Quran are contradicting to each other, right? And can we show the last one, please? And okay.
This
Yeah,
one,
I mean,
Mustarka
yeah,
Bandi ki Hawaladat. This is an Urdu one.
this is
But you
Urdu
would
one.
have to translate. Yeah.
I will translate, no problem. So this is Fatah Alamgiri. That is one of the famous books in India, and I would love to read that book as well. It says, Mushtarka Bandi ki Hawaladat. I mean, what's going on here? Mushtarka means that collective sex slave girl being abused by many men. that
A
allows.
sex slave that is owned by more than one man, and
Yes,
all of them are allowed to have sex with her.
yes. And it says if sex slave is owned by more than one man, and those men claim that this is their child, then what will happen? Then it says, look at the morality of Islam, that one girl is being abused by many men, right? And then if a woman gets pregnant, then this child will belong to all men, okay? And Imam Azim Rahmatullah says, and then Imam Abu Yusuf Rahmatullah said that if it is not proved, so this child belongs to all. Now, the interesting point, the last point I'm going to make, it will be interesting point, that this verse is basically saying one woman can be rapd by more than one man according to Islamic Sharia, but they are using the word rahmatullah. Where is the blessing? They use high jargon words for those people who are bringing this nasty thing against
Yeah,
women.
this is a cocktail for spreading STDs.
Yes. And they are using Imam Azam Rahmatullah. So I am very much surprised when we use the word Hazrat, Rahmatullah, Sahaba, when we look at their characters. Like, how come that Musa can be the prophet who just killed the one person without going to the court, without, taking in his own hand? So these prophets' morality, these Sahaba morality is extraordinary, criminal, but still we respect them as our survivors. So thank you so much for listening and being patient to me. Thank you.